All right, let's jump right into it. Today, we're cracking open the ancient text of Numbers 18. But we're actually not looking at it as a religious document right now. Instead, we're going to decode it as a highly structured economic blueprint. Seriously, think of this like a compensation package for literally one of the most high-risk professions in human history. So to really get this, we have to start with a massive economic paradox. Imagine living in a totally agrarian society. I mean, dirt is money, right? Land is your absolutely crucial single source of wealth, food, and stability. Now picture a specific class of workers who are legally and strictly forbidden from owning even an inch of it. No inheritance, no farms. So how on earth do they actually survive? Well, to understand their paycheck, we first got to understand their job. This religious class basically served as a human shield, a protective buffer for the rest of Israel. The text says they had to bear the iniquity of the sanctuary. And you guys, this sanctuary was incredibly dangerous. It's almost like an ancient radioactive zone. If an unauthorized person got too close, the text literally says they'd be put to death, and this deadly wrath would just wipe out the general population. High stakes for sure. Because it was so dangerous, they had to manage that risk through a super strict division of labor. It's like a corporate org chart, but with life or death consequences. On one side, you've got the priests, that's Aaron and his sons. They handle the highly restricted, super volatile duties right at the altar and inside the veil. Then, on the other side, you have their brethren, the broader tribe of Levites. They handle the general tabernacle service and act as perimeter guards, basically making absolutely sure no outsiders wander in and get themselves killed. Now, because of this full-time, round-the-clock dedication, God issues this powerful, non-negotiable mandate to Aaron: thou shalt have no inheritance in their land. And here's the thing, this total lack of land wasn't a punishment at all. It was fundamentally tied to their sacred, dedicated status. The divine presence itself was supposed to be their inheritance, which sounds beautiful, right? But economically speaking, they still needed to eat. Okay, so how did that compensation actually work out in practice? Well, the priests were paid directly through the community's offerings. It was an ancient revenue stream. They got the meat from the sin and trespass offerings plus the first fruits. We're talking literally the absolute best, premium cuts of the oil, wine, and wheat. Any devoted things, and even the firstborn of man and beast, all flowed directly into their income. And the text actually gets highly specific about the math here. For example, to redeem a firstborn human from having to do sanctuary service, a very precise flat fee was set. Exactly 5 sanctuary shekels. Bam! Every single detail of their compensation was completely standardized. They left nothing to chance. But wait, what about that broader guard force we mentioned? The Levites. Since they also couldn't own farms, they were sustained entirely by what is basically an ancient flat tax, the tithe. Exactly 10%, 1/10, of all of Israel's agricultural resources was handed directly over to the Levites as a reward for their dangerous service. The other 90% stayed with the general population. And this whole thing builds into this incredibly ingenious tiered tax structure, a tithe of the tithe, if you will. It works like this. Step 1. Israel gives 10% to the Levites. Step 2. The Levites take all that collected wealth, they treat it as if it were their own physical crop yield, and they separate out the absolute best 10% of that. Step 3, they heave it upward to Aaron the priest. So the wealth physically flowed upward to sustain the guys taking on the highest amount of risk. So what's the big takeaway from all this? The absolutely crucial point is that Numbers 18 isn't just dry, dusty ritual law. Not at all. It is a highly intricate, brilliant ancient system of taxes and compensation. It perfectly balances extreme, literal, life-or-death occupational risk with total, mandatory communal support. It made sure a completely landless class could survive while keeping the rest of the community totally safe. Which really leaves us with a super fascinating question to ponder. If absolute risk demands total communal support, what modern professions mirror this ancient sacred economy today? Think about the people working right now who take on immense, deadly danger just so the rest of society doesn't have to. And more importantly, think about how we actually choose to value and compensate them. It's a lot to chew on. Anyway, thanks for joining me for this explainer, and definitely keep questioning how this ancient past continues to shape our present.